just kind of make you curious. Just one keyword of what just was read. To alleviate, that would just do the same thing. It would alleviate uh, uh, some hardship on your brothers or sisters. But there is a key word here that Prophet ﷺ specifically inserted to reflect a big, major issue in society. Debt. Yes. And all studies have shown, whether Muslims or non-Muslims, one of the biggest chapter of problems and disputes, and you go to courts, and judges are being overwhelmed with, and imams are being overwhelmed with, because of dispute of money, debt. So, the key word here is debt, and you know yourself best. If you think that you are one of those people that would start a war because of money, by all means, please do not volunteer to help people out with money. Just keep it to yourself. Khalas, as we said, you can't go to a higher level of being a true believer. Don't do it. Because you don't want to give somebody a debt, and then if that someone does not meet the terms of that debt, then you're going to make really a big deal out of it. You're going to mess up their reputation. You're going to come and confess to the imam and tell them that I gave brother such and such and he never gave it back to me. And you go in your gathering, I gave brother such and such, $1,000, and he promised to give it back to me within a month, and he never did. It's been 6 months. This is not right. This is unfair. And you are really, and I'm not really trying to backbite here, and you are really killing the brother. And you are ripping off his reputation, and you say, I'm not trying to backbite. What are you doing then? So please, by all means, don't do it if you think that you will not be able to stand up for this level of hadith. That you would be patient, you're going to be able to delay the terms, you're going to be able to wait again, and yes, by all means, you might receive many promises, and then it will not be fulfilled. That doesn't mean that you should not ask for your right. You should always ask for your right, but it's not right either for you, because the whole thing about debt here in Islam is called qard hasan. It's a beautiful loan that you're giving to people to help them out. So the only exception of what I told you, that when you stand really, really firm, and standing firm means and could mean that you are going to put that brother in deep trouble. When is the only exception that you would do that? Quick quiz. Any exception that comes to your mind? No exceptions? MashaAllah, beautiful hearts. MashaAllah. So no matter what it is, you will never stand firm? Yes. Oh, this is your right now. You gave me $1,000, and you have been patient. I'm patient, and I keep promising you, and every time I don't meet the promise that I have promised you. So it is your right. So when is the only except? Yes.
Maybe if somebody else comes to you and asks you about this brother, saying, is he trustworthy because he's asking that brother also for money?
Oh, that's beautiful, but that's different. So we're going to definitely cover this later on. Yes. But that's not what I'm looking now. When would you be able, or when you are Islamically allowed, to really expose me in public because of what I did to you? Yes. That's one, yes, but that's not public. A judge is very private, because a judge would, that's part of his job, a judge, an imam, somebody that you really trust. It just goes without saying that it's very confidential. Whatever you share with that judge, he does not share with any other soul on the face of the earth. Same thing with the imam and whatever. That is taking by granted, yes.
I'm not sure if that's the same thing as a judge, but Abu Bakr was telling us about how there was a business investor at one point, and he was ripping off a bunch of Muslims with his shahidi dealings or whatever. And then in that terms, it would be allowed to expose him because what he's doing is harming not only the Muslim community but other potential investors in this.
Yes. Okay. We're going to discuss this further, but yes, that answers my question. So If I am doing it and you come to realize that I am not doing it out of really weakness, but rather I'm taking advantage of you. And then I'm taking advantage of you, and then I'm coming to Brother Abrar thinking that he does not know anything about what I did to you. And then I would, that's one way, but that's very obvious. But what I was specifically looking at, I am not a bad person. So I'm not really jumping between each one just to kind of rip people off and just take their money and promising I will pay at the end of the month, and then I have no intention to pay back. That's what you're talking about. This is definitely by all means, by all terms. It is not only that you are allowed to expose me, it is a must on you to expose me. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will hold you accountable if you don't, because you have seen the wrong. Remember the hadith before? You see the munkar and the wrong, and you're not doing anything about it. So you are not allowed even to be silent. But what I was specifically looking for, I'm not a bad person. But what I'm doing is something wrong, which is I keep promising and I'm not really stand up for my promises. And you know for a fact that if I seriously take this matter well, I can pay you back because you see my lifestyle. I'm being able to pay my rent at the end of the month. I'm being able to bring food at the end of the month. I'm being able to ride my car and fill it up every time it goes, empty. I'm being able to live okay. I'm being able to all of a sudden, and you get shocked by you staying, during summertime because you don't want to put yourself to go on a journey on the credit card because you know that you're not going to be able to pay it at the end of the month. And here I am taking $1,000 or like $10,000 from you, telling you I can't do it, and I'm taking my family overseas.
Right.
Allahu Akbar. So how are you able to put on $7,000, $8,000, $10,000 to go overseas journey and you're not being able to pay me? So I'm not a bad person, but I'm a very relaxed person because I know your good heart and I know for a fact that you're not going to take me to court. And I'm kind of abusing that. But it took you time to realize that. That's why you've been patient. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's continue.
Is that the same, if a person has done work for you and they didn't finish the job and they've been paying you, maybe it's not the same. But
It's not the same, but we're going to cover it now in this hadith itself. Yes.
Whoever conceals the faults of a Muslim,
Now we're going to cover it.
Allah will conceal his faults in this world and in the hereafter.
Okay, so now this is a general concept that you are all also aware and familiar with. So what's the concept is that you conceal their faults, right? So that concealing people's faults, that's the general term. That's our duty, really, honestly. I should not really expose you to others because of shortcomings and weaknesses that you are falling into. When would be exceptions? This is how we learn to have the exceptions, and all the exceptions are Islamic exceptions. And that would answer, inshallah ta'ala, your question. So when do I not do this general concept? When do I not cover up and conceal other people's faults? And this is very important for you guys to learn, because honestly, I see sometimes we, with our good hearts, sometimes we abuse our own deen by being so naive sometimes. It's way too much. People are really abusing us, and we are just on good terms saying, no, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to tell others. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide them. Yes, but there are many more consequences if you do not expose and if you keep concealing these things. So what would come to your mind? Yes? Marriage, stop.
During marriage, when somebody's asking you about somebody's personality for marriage.
طيب, excellent. How, Sister Sahar, how deep would you expose me? So in general, so to make it simple on you, would you use like the professional term here of saying, if I were you, I would not hire him. If I were you, I would not give my daughter to him. Would you stop at this, or like you would expose me way more?
I think you have to give people specifics. If you're
that's your opinion. But if you say, that person's not trustworthy, that, things that pertain to his character related to the marriage, I don't know how deep I would get into, well, he did this, and that, but enough to help them to understand that the character is flawed, and that might not be a good thing.
Excellent. Excellent. That's exactly what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from you. So you don't go so deep of giving me really details of really private thing that person, but definitely you would tell, because you're absolutely right. If you would just tell me, if I were you, I would not give my daughter to him, because this might be your own judgment. You're not really comfortable with that person, and you have the Islamic right to not be comfortable. But then if there is an Islamic fault with that person, let's say that person is extremely stingy, does not pay on his family, and khalas, he just got so sunk into it that he just can't get out of it, by all means you are obligated to give me that specific fault of that person. But you don't have to really tell me, the other day it was known that even milk he would not bring to the house. Even, he would not give allowance. No. But I got the general idea that this person would not even fulfill the basics of his duties, Islamic duties of spending on the family and what have you. And you can take this example and apply it to many, many other faults of us that we do. Yes?
In the Hadith, I have one question. In the first part,
Mm-hmm.
Allah is just like the Hadith is just for the day of judgment. But the other parts, it is talking about there and the day of judgment too. Why is the difference?
You're talking about which part now?
The first part, whoever removes worldly grief, it's only for the day of judgment.
من نفس right here.
Yeah.
من نفس عن مؤمن كربة من كرب الدنيا. Okay, so you're saying why is it only dunya?
No, I am saying the reward is just for the day of judgment, right here. But the next two parts, we are talking about the reward is for here and the day of judgment too. What is the difference?
Okay, so this one, the word kurba in Arabic means some. So kurba and usr, they are from the same meaning, which is difficulties. This is top difficulties, and that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is deferring this until the day of judgment. He wants to give you something in return that you would, if you were to be asked, would you want to see this in the dunya or in the hereafter? By all hands down, you say, no, I want to see the result hereafter, because it is something really, really big. Maybe it would happen once in a lifetime that you would do for someone. But this is something that maybe daily, weekly, monthly, you can be able to face difficulties with others, and you uplift those difficulties and hardship. This is something easy for you to do. This is something you might never run into in your lifetime except once, and you actually stand for it and you do it, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to give it to you on the day of judgment. That does not mean in any way that you would not see the results of it in dunya. But this is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives as an incentive, that you would see it really, really big. Because this word means really, really big. And you would see it really, really big on the day of judgment.
Can you give an example?
Example of this is if you save someone's life, but you put yourself in a big risk to save someone's life. Someone was drowning in a really running stream, and you jumped into the water with 50-50 chances of coming back alive. And you did it only for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because around you many spectators and everybody, somebody help, and no one wants to, risk their life. And here, and with full consciousness, it's not like, I just didn't think about it and I just jumped. No, you're thinking about it, and everybody's around you, nobody's jumping. And you are realizing 100% what you're doing. And throwing yourself in that water, thinking that there is a big possibility that I will never come back alive, that's one of the top things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would really reserve that for you on the day of judgment, because you really saved a precious life. You don't have to. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with His mercy, of course, He's not really asking us, but again, we're talking about top. This thing would happen many times in your life. Okay, so now back to this about the sitter. So that's inshallah ta'ala something that, oh, what else comes to your mind that I need to expose besides someone's personality, like, a marriage, partnership? What else that what comes to your mind?
So if someone comes and asks you about a person, if someone is married, so then you can tell, or if someone doesn't come and ask, you just know.
So that's what I'm alluding to. So that's what I want someone to actually tell me. So we got covered that if I get asked, then I'm obligated to answer. What if someone doesn't ask? Am I obligated to actually expose that person?
I think his actions are gonna. I think his actions, affect somebody else. Like happens in the lives of others. This fault of this person may cause harm to others.
To others.
Right. So I think like what is it applies to.
Tayyib. Excellent. That's absolutely the answer. An example comes to your mind?
Like somebody. I was just thinking like maybe this person is like an abusive alcoholic, but you wouldn't want somebody like to enter a relationship and like he might come home like drunk and like start.
So you got to know that that person proposed to somebody.
Yeah.
You've never been asked, but you absolutely knows that. So now you're taking the initiative to go actually and tell the person that was. Tayyib, that's excellent. Also trustworthiness, yes.
What about in positions of leadership, if that person is taking on a position of leadership where the character flaws go to affect that leadership position?
Absolutely. By all means. Everything you guys are saying, by the way, it's an obligation. I don't want you to take it lightly, like, so this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not expecting from you to throw yourself in the water and to risk your life. But if you do it, you're not going to be ever forgotten. But this, by all means, it has way many more details because it affects society. So the answer is if it affects somebody else, affects a community, a position that really harms others, by all means, I'm obligated to talk. When is it not obligated for me to talk? If someone is doing something wrong, not toward others, but toward who, that I don't have to expose that person. To themselves, which reflects only harming themselves. So that alcoholic person that you talked about, just keeping it to himself. He just gets drunk every night and start, punching holes in the wall. But he's not harming anybody, right? And you're just next door neighbor. Yes, he's harming you, being too noisy, and you have the full right to go and tell the management. Maybe I went to other extreme. Let's go back. You know for a fact that he's alcoholic and he gets drunk every night, but he doesn't bother you at all. He doesn't bother others. And he's a Muslim and people do not know that side of him. That is something that you do. But there is something that is missing that many times when we read these hadith, and unfortunately sometimes, that we don't practice it in our life. Maybe it doesn't get talked much about it, or it's not really the comfortable space or zone that we want to put ourselves into. And that is, okay, so I concealed. I didn't tell about my neighbor, alcoholic problem. He comes to the masjid, he prays Taraweeh with us, and he prays Fajr with us. And these are not really unreal examples. These are examples that we're living every day. As an imam, I know that behind the Fajr prayer, there are alcoholics. And I know that this is something they're working on. By all means, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants me and wants you not to expose them. Because when you expose them, because they're not harming anybody else. But there is something missing. What is missing? That, okay, I'm not going to expose, but what do I still need to do? Yes. That's what a lot of people miss out on. You're definitely obligated to go knock the door on your neighbor and advise him. And you tell him, listen, by all means, I'm not really telling anybody. But this is not right. What you're doing is not right. You just keep getting drunk every night. There are so many programs out there. I could help you in any way possible. What do you want me to do? But this is not right. What you're doing is not right. You're connecting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala every day, but you are committing one of the major sins every day, and I see it with my own eyes. I can't expose you, but I just can't stay quiet about it. You need to work on it, because now you're not harming anybody. Tomorrow you might. You might end up, losing your consciousness or not being able to control yourself, start going out in public being drunk, and then you're going to harm others. Yes.
I do have a question. I heard you mention a couple of times this problem being with a Muslim, but if your neighbor is not a Muslim and still alcoholic, is it still your obligation to, take these steps that you just talked about, like, interacting with him, advising this person? He's not coming to the masjid, of course he's not a Muslim, but you know of this problem. As a human being, is this an obligation on me at that time?
Yes.
Or is it only for Muslims?
No, this is
It's
on
for
everybody.
everybody.
But the only difference, for a Muslim, it becomes an Islamic obligation on you. Meaning that you advised me once, that's not the end of it. You advised me twice, that's not the end of it. And it's never a day would come that's the end of it. Allah expects from you that you're going to keep working on it. But you're dealing with me exactly what we said, right? You love for me what you love for yourself. You don't want to see yourself in that. Then you're not going to let go. I'm not going to let go. I'm not just going to advise more. But with the non-Muslims, maybe I would advise once, twice, but then I would, because he bluntly told me in my face, none of your business. Just stay out of it. But for a Muslim, he would tell me, none of your business, I'm not going to stop. Because I'm not doing it only for you. I'm doing it because Allah obligated me, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave an obligation upon me that I have to continue doing it until I get you out. It's exactly like somebody drowning in front of me and just wants to show up. No, I'm not drowning. I'm going to get there. Just give me your hand. No, I'm not going to give them. If they insist, as a Muslim, what do? I would jump into the water and get him out. I'm not going to wait until, just to save his face and what have you and all this. Out. I'm just going to get him out. Even if they get really upset. And that's something that applies in so many things in our life. When we see our Muslim brothers and sisters, when we see our youth, when we see our daughters and sons are doing something wrong on campus, we got two choices. Either I conceal it, but I can't conceal it because I just learned today that this is not about them. See, if they were just doing something haram in an apartment, no one knows about them, and they're hiding their sinful acts, I got to know it because I saw them entering that apartment together, and I know they're not married. And I know that they're doing something haram because it's consistent, because they are coming to this apartment every time, and I do happen to live there. Then what I would apply is my advice to them, because they're keeping it to themselves, but I have to advise them. But if they do not stop, then I have to take it to upper level, because what they're doing is haram, and it has to stop. I don't have the authority to physically stop it, but I have the authority by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave me the authority to keep going and knocking on their door, on advising them, even if I take it to higher level. So if we're talking about adults in their 30s, all I can do is do what? Advice, right? What about if they're youth and they have no idea what consequences they're putting themselves into? Still 14, 15 years old in high school, they have no idea what they're putting themselves into. I am obligated to take it to a higher level. Because you as a parent would not like it at all if I got to know that your son is doing something really wrong and he's going into drugs. And I advised him once, twice, 3 times. And he's not stopping. Then he got deeper and deeper. And then you got to know later on, after it became really out of control, that I knew all along. It's been 2 years that I have known, and I never brought it to your attention. You're not going to be happy with me. My son could have been saved. Why did you wait until, I just didn't want to expose him. See, that's where we miss out on these understandings. This is not an area where you say, I didn't want to expose him. That's not exposing. I have to open this because I have to save that person. Again, like jumping in the water, getting that person out. I'm not going to wait for you to give me permission to extend your hand. I'm not. Yes?
The problem, I think, is a lot of us, if you see something and you want to advise, like the example that you gave with the kids, when you go tell a parent, I saw this, and this about your child, they get very upset. lying, you didn't understand the situation, you don't know what's happening. I think that's why a lot of people don't go and advise because of that. And all of us that have had kids and know that, they're open to all kinds of issues because we live in a society that's very open and people do whatever. The drug issue is, it leads into bigger things and addiction and all of that, or alcohol or whatever. Nobody wants to hear the bad thing. But after the fact, when you didn't say anything, it's still your fault because, you didn't tell me.
You're absolutely
So you're wrong either way.
You're absolutely, that's society.
Yeah.
Society-wise, you're wrong either way. It's just a lose-lose situation. However, applying what you're Islamically obligated to do, then you're going to be hated, yes, from the parents. And it happens all the time. Very, 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 many cases. But then, subhanAllah, later on, when they realize the deep of wrong that their kids have gone into, they come back to you. And this is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told Prophet ﷺ and is telling us the follows, وَرَفَعْنَا لَكَ ذِكْرَكَ. Later on, look, Prophet ﷺ was accused of so many labels, right? But then way later, they came back to him. And that happens all the time. They would come back to you later and say, I wish I had listened to you. I wish I had heard you out. But it's too late now. You've done your Islamic part. But of course, as you said, we have to be wise of how we approach the parents. We're not just going to kind of, your son and whatever, but you're approaching to really tell exactly how could I help. But this is something came to my knowledge, and I just can't stay quiet about it because I want to help out. And how could we help them? Yes, we're not going to be liked, and a lot of youth don't like this. And you're going to be labeled whatever. But again, Prophet Muhammad himself was labeled. So take it for a fact. If you apply Allah's formula, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَرَفَعْنَا لَكَ ذِكْرَكَ. One day, these people will come back and tell you were absolutely right. And this happens all the time, by the way, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not let it go because you've done something that this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks of you to do. Okay, so now we continue, brother, with the English. Now, this is really the main thing that I wanted to cover with you. The rest of it is something really, we can just scan through it really quick because it's all about seeking knowledge. That's exactly what you're doing. Yes? Go ahead, inshallah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, when you change that a little bit and you tell them about it and they don't accept it from you. Like, for example, you advise a person that you don't want to marry, you shouldn't marry that person. And they say, I'm going to do it anyway. Then you're not accountable if you told them and they say reject you and say they're going to marry the person anyway.
I thank you so much for the question because this is something extremely important that I have missed out on. So as we are putting the levels of advice and responsibility upon us, I said if we reach out, we're talking about young couples or we're talking about people that have higher authority above them, right? So I did reach out to the parents. Am I obligated to continue after that point? Absolutely not. I've done my Islamic part. I handed in the case. But by all means, I am willing to help in any way possible. If the parents are asking me to help or continue helping, by all means. If I get really, the door is closed in my face and you're wrong and you're so jealous of my kids and because of this, halas, I'm done. Because I just done my Islamic authority. I was not welcomed, like Prophet ﷺ was not welcomed with a ta'if and he was stoned. Did he say, no, I'm going to go back again and again and again and I'm going to keep knocking on their door? No, because he went to the highest of level. I just can't go any higher. I went to the leaders of the tribes and they pushed me out and they stoned me. So I'm not going to be able to, because if I go to the way lower level, they're not going to be able to do anything. I went to the authority and they couldn't do anything. Same thing that you would do as even a citizen when you hand in a case to the authorities, you're done. But if we're talking about, this is when you're talking about higher authority. If we're talking about the neighbor example, he's a higher authority and there is no one above him. Yes, by all means, I'm Islamically obligated to continue. So I'm going to continue with that person and keep advising him every time I see that person is putting himself into more wrong and more wrong. Yeah, there is no stop to it because he's the highest, because every time I see him drunk, Allah is sending me a message, I have got you to run into this person again. And I see the munkar again in front of my face. I have to talk about it. So that's how we differentiate between the two levels. Yes, go ahead.
So in that example where you have like a drunk neighbor and you keep advising them every time the incidents happen, when are you ever allowed to stop like giving advice if the behavior?
And you're allowed to stop only if you get rejected, with authority, meaning that your neighbor tells you. So we're talking about only when you see the incident, right? So you're not really spying on the person and going and knocking on the door, are you drunk or not? No. He's an alcoholic, but you're not really looking at him. But Allah is sending him your way every time you're obligated. You're not obligated anymore if he puts a higher authority in your face. If he tells you, if you ever come close to my apartment, or if you ever come to me and talk to me, I'm putting a restraining order on you. This is where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows you to pull back. I'm trying to help you, but then you want to put me in trouble, I'm done. Then I stay back. That's it. That's the only time. Otherwise, again, if your neighbor a Muslim and has a good heart, and he is so open to your advice, and he tells you, please help me out, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, please make dua for me, wallahi, I'm trying. And I try and I quit for a few weeks, and then subhanAllah, it comes back again, and the urge comes back, and I fall short. And he's giving you so much space to advise him. And he needs help. And that's why Allah is giving you an obligation and ordering us to continue. Because one day, inshallah, you're going to be able to get that person out. And if you do save that person from all this hardship, again, we're talking about something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has reserved for you in the dunya and the akhirah. With Allah's karam, He's going to give you all the results. Whether it's way big or something simple, but it's all falls into the same category of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala recognizing you to be in that higher level of an iman, inshallah. Alright, inshallah ta'ala, now we continue. About knowledge, brother.
And Allah will aid His slave so long as he aids his brother. And whoever follows the path to seek knowledge therein, Allah will make easy for him a path to paradise. No people gather together in one of the houses of Allah, reciting the book of Allah and studying it among themselves, except that sakina or tranquility descends upon them, and mercy envelops them, and the angels surround them, and Allah mentions them amongst those who are with Him. And whoever is slowed down by his actions will not be hastened forward by his lineage.
Okay, excellent. Any question on, since this is so familiar for you, and mashallah, you are here because of understanding exactly the virtues of seeking knowledge. And this is just a reminder that, may Allah reward you. Many of us definitely would love to take some rest Saturday morning. And despite the weather, despite whatever it is, despite having a heavy schedule, sometimes you have multiple events on Saturday, but you still make it. I want you to know, out of this second part of the hadith, that you are being protected by Allah, that you are walking through the path of Allah to Jannah, and that whenever you gather in the houses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as the hadith says, whether you are reading the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and understanding that, because here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving you two things. Even if you just merely open the book, just opening the book and looking into it is a ibadah by itself. You're struggling through it, you don't understand a word of what you're reading, you have no clue what message Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sending you, you are still in a path to Jannah. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to know, however, I would love for you to do more. If you're able to go a higher level and start actually understanding my book, and understanding the messages that I'm trying to send you. And that is يَتَدَارَسُونَهُ. It's not, this is so deep that يَتَدَارَس, it means that not only that you are just receiving knowledge from a teacher, because if it was just one way, Prophet ﷺ would have said what? What? وَيَنُوتَ وَيَدْرُسُونَهُ. Then I'm sitting in front of a teacher, I'm receiving one way. I'm learning. But وَيَتَدَارَسُونَهُ, that it means it's a two-way communication. You're taking from your teacher. You're asking the teacher. Teacher is answering you. You are teaching the teacher by asking some question that the teacher said, "Wallah, that's interesting. I never thought of it. Actually, let me look into it. That's something that is, very interesting to get to know." And then everybody is really benefiting. And two ways communication of يَتَدَارَسُونَهُ means that it gets applied the second you get out. Because al-mudarasa is more of a practical thing. It's not just yadrus, just receive one thing, but rather it is something that I'm receiving, I'm giving, I'm comprehending, and I'm applying outside. وَيَتَدَارَسُونَهُ بَيْنَهُمْ إِلَّا نَزَلَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ السَّكِينَةُ. Tranquility from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would be descended on them, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would have that peace of mind that you always, hear others being deprived from. And they're living on medications day and night. Just to give them that tranquility that you receive by remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You without any medications, without any issues. Now, وَغَشِيَتْهُمْ الرَّحْمَةِ, and my mercy is also descended upon them, upon my servants. And that rahmah by itself is what you're looking for in this dunya and in the hereafter, to see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala while He is pleased with you. Not only that, see, this is big. This is honestly big. But that doesn't mean that if you only do this, you're not going to get this. Anyone that just does any path of knowledge is going to get all this package. But if you do this, it's really a higher level. Then, tranquility, mercy. Then not only that, وَحَفَّتْهُمُ الْمَلَائِكَةِ. What does that mean? What does it mean for me to be surrounded by angels? So they're making dua for me. What else? Protection. They're protecting me. It's very interesting when you see so many times when you hear, or when you as a parent, or you grow up to see it yourself, or you were told how you were very active when you were young and you just ran into so many dangerous things. And that, sharp corner of the dining table was about to poke your eye. And you're going to be blind for the rest of your life. But subhanAllah, just missed by a fraction, right there. And the stitch is all above the eye. And you live with it for the rest of your life as a sign that you could have been blind. Who protected you? It's that angel. Just saved you enough that you would not lose your sight. Saved you enough that when you dozed off on the highway, you could have been ran by the 18-wheeler. And it could have been now, within 1 second, that your family would receive a phone call that you have passed away. All this, you just dozed off and then got something woke you up, and you have no idea what woke you up, and you're about to get off the highway, and then you pulled back on in lane. And all this happens, and many, many other things, of things that just misses you by a fraction, things that were about to hit you, but then you were saved. Things that you obviously feel that somebody physically around me is really pushing me to do things and protecting me from things, and these are the angels. Anyone, this is a big quiz. Anyone knows what's the name of those angels that actually does nothing but protect you 24/7, even while you are asleep? And when I say while you're asleep, I mean it, that sometimes people people die in their sleep because they are choking, they couldn't breathe, and they didn't wake up because they were deep in sleep. You know, children that they were just put on their tummies wrong and what have you, and then they couldn't breathe and they died. Many, many things. What are the names of these specific angels? It's in the Quran. It's a quick, it's not part of the Hadith, but just to get you excited. Yes? La. No, these are of course angels, but I'm talking about only specifically.
Can you reference the
Surah is in Surah Al-Ra'd. So look it up. I give it open book. See what's the name of the angels in Surah Al-Ra'd. I don't know how you're gonna look. Let's see how Google would answer. Or you can reference the ayah itself.
Yeah, that would be better.
No, I'm not going to give you the ayah. That's what I'm asking.
The rest of the
Because the ayah will give you the name of the angel. So at least I'm giving you the surah. So you can just get the ayah out of it. Let's see what my... أيوة. والمعقبات, yes, ما شاء الله.
His Wi-Fi is very fast.
Yeah, it's really fast.
It's really fast.
Ready?
لهم معقبات من بين يديهم ومن خلفهم يحفظونه من what? من أمر الله. Those are the معقبات that would save you and protect you from every matter that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written to surround you. And those are something that you want to always ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect you with and protect your children, inshaAllah ta'ala. So those are the mu'aqibat that you want to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. By you being and seeking knowledge, inshaAllah ta'ala, you're going to be granted those angels. وَذَكَرَهُمُ اللَّهُ فِي مَنْ عِنْدَهُ. This is just to, have you being, this is whether you like it or not. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would put your love in people's heart and people connect with you. People love you, people respect you, people do seek your advice, people truly look up to your wisdom. This is something beyond your control. Even if you try to hide yourself, this is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala pushes others to have these feelings toward you. Now the last thing of the hadith, وَمَنْ أَبْطَأَ بِهِ عَمَلُهُ لَمْ يُسْرِعْ بِهِ نَسَبُهُ. Now, the one that doesn't do much of good deeds and does not really pay much attention to these things, and when the accountability time comes for that person, the only thing that would benefit that person is his actions. What about this? Would that benefit? What's nasabuhu? Yes. It wouldn't help, right? Even if you were from the Ahlul Bayt, from the household of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, would it help or not?
No.
If you say yes or no, you have to prove it.
No, it would not help.
No.
It would not help. What's the proof?
Nuh alayhi salam wouldn't save his son. His
No.
son was drowned.
Okay.
Like direct lineage. I mean, there couldn't be any more connection. His own son, one of the greatest prophets of Allah.
Excellent. Okay, good. So he wouldn't be able to be saved just because of his lineage. Okay.
There was one in this discussion. One time, Prophet tell Bibi Fatima, I'm not going to save you.
Right. Yes.
There is one.
Yes,
I don't
absolutely.
know the wording.
Prophet ﷺ addressed directly his household members. He said, do good deeds, protect yourself, because your lineage, your attachment to my nasab and to my lineage would not help me on the day of judgment. So by all means, yes, that's the answer, and this is the proof. So we're done with this, inshallah ta'ala. I'll give you, inshallah, a 5-minute break, and then, inshallah, we're going to go to the next hadith. Jazakumullah khairan. So this is more specific with the mu'amalat. Sorry, I missed you, brother. Said is in the back. In the Ahmed. I was debating Ali Hussein, but I forgot. And I see more in the I didn't really look at the back. That's
This is for stress. I kind of missed the jump.
Start something for 6 weeks, something like that. Yeah, but
Doesn't that open up? Keep rubbing it. Keep rubbing it. Because I have really bad sciatica, and I have a lot of allergies. So I use a lot of RC. That's the one. I use and then there's some for there's a micro. One of my friends is like, I use it all the time when I have to. Instead of taking it. Yeah. You gotta push me a lot. It's my job.
I use this for animation. I just love it. So I use it in my garbage can. If I take my garbage out, I don't use it as a smell. I'm running in my it takes a smell or a box.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Okay, inshallah, let's resume.
inshallah. So now we have the Hadith 37. So let's see if anyone would volunteer with the Arabic part, and then we do the English one, inshallah. 37. So we want someone to read the Arabic part, and then we'll do the English, inshallah. Any volunteers? يلا تفضل أحمد.
عن ابن عباس رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال
Here you missed this. This is very important. فيما this might not big enough. Can you see it okay? فيما يرويه
عن ربه تبارك وتعالى.
ايش يعني فيما يرويه عن ربه؟ أيوة, excellent. Hadith Qudsi means that this is something that has been spoken by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but it is verbally been conveyed on the tongue of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So in another word, this is Quran, but has been said through Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whereas the actual Quran on the book is something was descended word by Jibreel and Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam exactly copied this. But this, something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, conveyed to Jibreel alayhi salam, and Jibreel came to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and gave him the theme, the idea. And Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam conveyed it with his own words. Exactly. So that's why we don't call it an actual Quran. But it has the level of the Quran because it's something that has been said by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes. فيما يرويه عن ربه تبارك وتعالى قال
إن الله كتب الحسنات والسيئات ثم بين ذلك فمن هم بحسنة فلم يعملها كتبها الله عنده حسنة كاملة وإن هم بها فعملها كتبها الله عنده عشر حسنات
إلى يعني up to
إلى 700 ضعف إلى أضعاف كثيرة وإن هم بسيئة فلما يعملها كتبها الله عنده حسنة كاملة وإن هم بها فعملها كتبها الله سيئة واحدة.
Okay, excellent. So can you raise it up a little bit, Kashi? Or actually, no, just leave it at this, inshallah. Let's read the English one. Yes, tafadhal, bismillah. Go ahead. Yes.
Verily Allah has written down the good deeds and the evil deeds, and then explained it by saying, whosoever intended to perform a good deed but did not do it, then Allah writes it down within himself as a complete good deed, and if he intended to perform it and then did perform it, then Allah writes it down with himself as from 10 good deeds up to 700 times, up to many times multiplied. And if he intended to perform an evil deed but did not do it, then Allah writes it down with himself as a complete good deed. And if he intended the evil deed and then performed it, then Allah writes it down as one.
Excellent. This hadith is what the scholars have used in order to explain to us how does the accountability process takes place. How the accountability process takes place and how you get your hasanat written, how you get your sayyi'at written, when do you get them, how does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala deal with the good hasanat or with the good deeds, and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala deals with the bad deeds, so you can be cautious of it, and how actually sometimes, if other hadith came to give a little bit more specifics and details of the process of written or writing the hasanat, when do they get written, and when the bad deeds get written. So a lot of other hadith came to add, but this is one of the main hadith that talks about the accountability process. So let's take it part by part, inshallah. So, إن الله كتب الحسنات والسيئات ثم بين ذلك. يعني Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explained to us what are good deeds and what are bad deeds. Things that are clearly in the Quran and things that are clearly in the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And things that what else besides Quran, besides Hadith, that also explains to us Hasanat and Sayyi'at? That can come to your mind. Let me go this way. Yes? Huh? Fitra? Fitra would tell you. Okay, so fitra would tell you, but sometimes the fitra gets manipulated by the actions of others. That some people think I'm not doing anything wrong, but it's actually wrong. So if you talk about fitra of an infant, a baby, yes, but the baby is not responsible enough to realize sometimes what's right and what's wrong. So fitra is definitely a good source, but it's not a Shari'i source. It's not an Islamic source. Unless Allah clearly says it in the Quran and in the Hadith. So we have Al-Quran, we have a Sunnah that tells us Hasanat and Sayyat. What else? So when we say Hadith, a Sunnah, we're referencing about what? Not necessarily, no. What is like specific about Hadith? When you say Quran, it's the book right there. Hadith is what? The sayings, exactly. Which is this? Things that has been reported and recorded. What else can be said about, which you already said, so the actions. So actions of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam are also tashri'. When it comes to religious matters, even if he didn't say it, even if it's not reported, the Sahaba have reported that later on there, and they said, we saw Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam not doing that or doing that. Not doing that, it makes it haram. Doing that makes it halal, that he did it, it's permissible. So that's another thing that would also identify for the hasanat and sayyat. ثم بين ذلك. This is what means بين ذلك, through Quran, through Hadith, through the actions, and sometimes through actions by refraining from doing something. فمن هم بحسنة. إيش يعني هم؟ Intention. Very good. فمن هم بحسنة فلم يعملها. One has intended and had the intention to do something good. فلم يعملها, but he did not do it. Okay, so I'm standing here and saying, inshallah, I really want to do something really good. And you have the intention to do it, and we're going to participate in it, and really, truly, genuinely, you want to do it, but then something came up or something prevented you from doing it. فَلَمْ يَعْمَلْهَا. Whether it's with your will or out of your will, but you were prevented, you did not do it. Would Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you a hasanah for it? The hadith says yes. كَتَبَهَا اللَّهُ عِنْدَهُ حَسَنَةً كَامِلًا. Okay. If I say فَلَمْ يَعْمَلْهَا, he didn't do it. If I say كَتَبَهَا, I skip this. عِنْدَهُ حَسَنَةً كَامِلًا. Does this give the same meaning?
Allah, he's the doer here, right? Allah is the doer, so he's himself taking it upon himself to know the time.
Yeah, but it's already here. كتبها. That's the ضمير. The ha ضمير عائد على Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This by itself, the ha, if you say by itself, you're not identifying the doer. But the second you added katabaha, this is the hidden. Yes. So this by itself is sufficient that I'm referencing back to to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is a hidden door, but that's it's known because everything about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All about Allah. Because I started by saying Inna Allah. That by itself is sufficient that everything comes after is referencing back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. كتبها عنده حسنة كاملة. Complete sentence? Yes, absolutely. Why did we add this? Just more emphasis. طيب. If I say فلم يعملها كتبها الله. See, I'm trying to come up with something. كتبها الله حسنة كاملة. Gives full meaning?
No.
Why? But I have Allah. كتبها الله. Allah would write it حسنة كاملة. What's missing? Nothing. No, كتبها الله.
Who's getting the hasana? Not who's writing it.
No, that's already it's taken for granted who's gonna receive the hasana because here it says faman hamna. That by itself is giving reference back to the intender. I intended to do something right. Because same thing, this يعملها is going back to the human door. كتبها الله حسنة. Gives complete meaning? Yes. Why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promise to add عنده?
The action will take place. I mean, He is giving you reward for your intention. You did not take the action, but Allah is giving you a special reward. This is from His mercy that He is even giving you more than whatever you really did. You just intended to do something, you did not do it.
Excellent. So عنده is to tell you you are receiving something as a big favor from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You don't really deserve it. You don't do it. Yes, I can just stand now and intend, inshallah, tonight I'm going to run another halaqa. And tomorrow, inshallah ta'ala, I'm thinking, you guys, I'm going to cover the whole salah chapter for you. And inshallah ta'ala, in Ramadan, we're going to... And I'm being really genuine. So if I'm just making up, of course I'm not going to get hasanah for it. But I'm being genuine. But then again, life, hardship and busy schedule will not allow. But here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling عنده just to give you that this is being a favor from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because you have not really even do it. And you will, inshallah ta'ala, later on, that عنده does not get mentioned when we go to the opposite, to the bad deeds. طيب كتبها الله عنده حسنة كاملة. If we say فلم يعملها كتبها الله عنده حسنة. Complete meaning or no?
Kamala is perfect, right?
Yes. But would it matter for the structure of the sentence? No. كتبها الله عنده حسنة. That give me full meaning. Kamila is exactly just gives you how the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not only giving you only hasana, only complete hasana, but the word kamila means complete, means it is subject to be rewarded more. And that's what you're going to read in the continuation of it. So kamila, it means that I'm giving you a full package, and you tell me what's the full package, what's the details of it. Okay, here the details are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is revealing the details of the full package of hasana. Meaning that I'm not giving you just one by one. You intended to do something, I'm not going to give you one hasana, but rather a package of hasanat. And here is the details of the package. Now, before Allah tells us the details, then we go to the second, or to another category. وَإِنْ هَمَّ بِهَا فَعَمِلَهَا. Now, if he actually does it, كَتَبَهَا اللَّهُ. You see, it's repeated. Emphasis. عِنْدَهُ. Now, you get the package, full package. Hasana is becoming what? Ashara or Ashra Hasanat. Multiplied 1 by 10. Then, ila. Then the 10 is multiplied by ila up to the Hasana, the Hasana is multiplied by up to 700. Multiplied by 700. Ila up to many folds that you're not even aware of. This is just something that you can count and comprehend. 10 times, 700 times, up to something that you're not even aware of, you can't think of. Because, and it all depends on how genuine you are. So that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so merciful. Some of us are, wish thinkers, and we wish a lot, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. Some of us, we really push for it, but it just doesn't happen. Some of us, we actually start something, and it just doesn't go through, and what have you. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala left it so open of a full package that would reflect His mercy and generosity that He wants to accept us to do the good deeds. The other side of it, وَإِنْ هَمَّ بِسَيِّئَةٍ, intended to do something bad. فَلَمْ يَعْمَلْهَا, and he didn't do it. كَتَبَهَا, so why is now it's being repeated? كَتَبَهَا, كَتَبَهَا, Allahu, Allahu, عِنْدَهُ, عِنْدَهُ, حَسَنَ, حَسَنَ, كَامِلَ, كَامِلَ. Here we said because he's doing good deeds. Here because it's special. Here it's a favor because he intended to do something good. But here we're talking about something bad. وَإِنْ هَمَّ بِسَيِّئَةٍ, bad deed. Why are we giving the same privilege to somebody who intended to do good things? Huh? Allah's mercy, but then what would be the difference between somebody intending good deed and somebody intending bad deed if they're going to get the same thing?
But they didn't do the bad.
Aywa, excellent. They actually didn't do it, so it still falls in good category, with one exception. Who's going to get 10 points and tell me what's the exception?
1 for 1.
1 for 1, that, yes.
Isn't it like, I've heard, I'm not sure if it's the same thing, but I've heard like a thought, people talking about this, where basically like, let's say you wanted to go to the club, but like your car broke down. And so like now, like you had the intention to do it, but an external force. So then that way, like, you didn't change yourself. Like it's only because you're not able to that you couldn't do it.
You're absolutely correct. Whoever Khatib you're listening to, keep listening. Yes, here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about somebody that stopped out of fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, really wanted to do something bad, but then it got into him and said, subhanAllah, what am I getting myself into? And the bar was right there. But he turned and said, no, Allah, I'm not doing it. And just goes away. The other guy that has his car broken down and says, man, I missed it. And he's calling somebody an Uber and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is stopping him. And all the Ubers, they never stop. And he still intends to go. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just did not want him to do it. He's not privileged. But the other guy is privileged. That's why he's receiving the same system. طيب, now we're talking about only one with good intention to stop it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَإِنْ هَمَّ بِهَا فَعَمِلَهَا. If he actually got weak enough and actually did it. كتبها الله, Allah would write it, سيئة واحدة. What's missing when you compare this to this? On top of it. Excellent. كتبها كتبها. Allahu Allahu. There is no عنده, because this is special only for the good doers, and it only gets favored for the good doers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not going to favor somebody that goes intentionally and does a haram on purpose, despite all the signs and despite all the advice that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent him, but who still intend to do it. I'm sorry, you don't get privileged. So, but you are still going to be under the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but you are not going to be privileged like this person that I would really take it with my hand and take care of it. Because عنده, it's like when I say, don't worry, I got it. I got your amana with me, I'm going to take care of it. Or if I'm babysitting your child and you are very anxious the first time you leave your child, and I'm really comforting you, I'm telling you, don't worry, I got it. Don't worry, inshallah, they will be safe with me. Don't worry. So I'm giving you this comfort when I say, I got it. Don't worry. عنده. Allah is giving that comfort that I'm taking care of your good deeds. Don't worry. Wallahi, you will see it on the day of judgment. You're not going to be forgotten. You are going to be actually delighted when you see the mountains of hasanat coming on the day of judgment because of my generosity. I got you. I got you covered, as they say. But you are being covered by Allah, not by all state. So, inshallah ta'ala, you can never go wrong here. Here, I'm sorry, you don't have that privilege. But then again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most merciful. So, عنده is out, and kamila is out. You're not getting a package. Neither I'm taking care of it myself. I'm leaving you on your own. But I'm going to still not really go so harsh on you. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to only count it as one. So that's one bad deed, despite the big intention of doing haram and proceeding to do it, but I'm just going to count it as one. I'm not going to multiply it by 10. I'm not going to multiply it up to 700. I'm not going to tell you, well, it's really infinite. You have no idea what I have reserved for you on the day of judgment to punish you. But rather, no, it's only one because I want you back, and I'm giving you incentives to come back. That's, inshallah ta'ala, in a nutshell. Let me see just one thing before I take the questions. If I missed out on any of the... if you have some questions, just get it prepared, or if you're thinking of asking a question, get it ready, just to make sure.
So basically there are 4 categories. You intend to have some good thing, you did it. You intend to have doing some bad thing, but you didn't do it, and there is one. 2 are intending.
Yeah, one intention, but you couldn't do it, you get reward for it. One intention to do something, but you were able to do it, you get multiple and many rewards for it. One is to intend to do bad deed, but you are prevented or you don't do it. And one, you actually do it.
There are
4 categories. Yes. Okay, so according to the deed is conditional upon person of fear of Allah. So we talked about that. The condition is to leave it out of fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If a person decides to do an evil deed and does what he can to perform it, but he is simply not able to, he will also be held accountable, yes. Now, the one thing that I want to share with you that I didn't mention. So, about the intention thing. People miss with this hadith that in order for you to be accounted, whether with good deeds or bad deeds, you have to act upon it. That's not necessarily true, by the way. A lot of people miss on. Yes, there is a big room of mercy here, but that intention, that guy that really, really wanted to go to the bar and just go wild that night, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prevented him breaking down his car, his phone, cell phone just goes down the drain, and Uber guy doesn't show up, and all the things is not happening to him. He actually was not able to go to the bar. Actually was not able to participate in that wild party that he was really thinking to do. With the many haram things that he intended to do, he actually did not do it. Would that save him? No. Would save him from the many sayyi'at that he would have done. But still, it would not save him because the intention is still very bad. And that's why this hadith is giving us something. It's not really explicitly said in other hadith, but I want to share it with you anyway. One of the biggest I have at least personally seen with our youth, high schoolers, college students, young professionals, who are debating with atheists on campuses. I have concluded that mainly one of the biggest weaknesses that the atheists or those progressive so-called Muslims or what have you, I don't know what labels we have, one of the biggest weaknesses that they attack the system of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the punishment system. They say you cannot say there is God and there is punishment. God means mercy. There is no punishment. If you tell me God, heaven, yes. God, and people do mess out on fairness is not to punish them. Fairness is, that's their argument, of course. Fairness is to prevent them from the good stuff. So if you tell me, God created us, I messed up, he did not mess up. He ends up going to heaven and enjoying God's heaven, that's fair. I messed up in this dunya, I don't go to heaven, that's my punishment. So I die, and I never go to heaven. That's all. But hellfire, you flame me in hellfire forever, that's the weakness, and maybe we have to run really a good amount of workshop in order to, because this cannot be answered honestly even with one, but to give you the seeds for it, the whole system is based on the following of intentions. How can someone live in Jannah forever and someone stay in hellfire forever? If it's based on actions, no matter how bad I was in the dunya, I was the Fir'aun of my time. I killed, I raped, I've done every bad things. No distinction, none whatsoever. A child, an infant, a pregnant woman, non-pregnant woman. No mercy at all. Even Dajjal himself. I would destroy half of the earth. At the end, I have to have a specific amount of time in hellfire to be flamed, and then it needs to stop. It can't go forever. The idea of going forever takes away the character of God, and that's how our children are being attacked, honestly. It's not an easy argument. It's very delicate, and it's very hard to argue it unless you are being brought up on this deen to understand the following. That because of the intention, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does reward or punish accordingly. Allah gives people Jannah with His mercy, of course, but with actions, and not only actions. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that Ahmed lived for 60 years on earth, did nothing but good deeds. When he messed up, he repented, went back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah knows if Ahmed lived 120 years, Ahmed would do the exact same thing that he did in the 60-year span of his life. If Ahmed, Allah prolonged his life to 600 years, Ahmed would have done the exact good deeds that he did in the 60 years of his lifespan. If he were to live for 1 million years, Ahmed would do the same. John is doing the opposite, going against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, intentionally going against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, being reminded by so many signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but he still wants to go against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Lived for 60 years, died. Then if John would be granted 120 years, he would have done the same thing. 600 years, he would have done the same thing. 1 million years, he would have done the same thing. Who is judging? Allah, the one that created the soul of Ahmed and the one that created the soul of John. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what Ahmed would have done if he prolonged his life, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what John would do if he prolonged his life. With that system, that is how some of the scholars were able to justify the eternal life of Jannah and eternal life of hellfire. That's just one thing that I wanted to share with you, that intention does matter. Yes, it does matter in your life, and it does matter after your life, and it matters of how you are granted Jannah and how you are staying in hellfire for eternal life. That's just one basic argument that you can talk about. The other, and that's why I'm telling you that most of our youth are weak on this issue. So I kind of sensed that, because when I told them, and by the way, the issue of eternal punishment in hellfire is not something that is agreed upon. And all eyes went up, and eyebrows went up. Can you give me the proof? So I said, it means that you are really weak. So you are determining the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on an aspect that we have no absolute truth of it, except clear-cut evidences in verses in the Quran. But it's been argued. Even the verses been argued with scholars. I'm talking Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah scholars, very minority, but it's an argument. Do we know for sure and absolute? According to verses, I have firm answer, yes, it's eternal life. Do I judge by no doubt, none whatsoever, that's what's going to happen on the day of judgment? I have no idea. That's up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If it's really truly eternal, means physical eternal. Or is it metaphoric that it is enough of punishment, even if it's few minutes for that person, that it feels eternal? That this person says, I wish I have been able to be guided, and all the evidences that came to me, that I would have listened. That this just, not only the physical punishment, but the psychological punishment of, I missed out on the other life. Yani just imagine, if it's really not truly an eternal physical, eternal punishment, if that person, whatever the name is, actually gets in hellfire for only a fraction of a second, and then they vanish. The guilt, the punishment, now no more physical punishment, right? But the punishment is still there by what? Missing out on the Jannah, on the na'im of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, on actually physically seeing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is something we will inshallah be privileged with. They won't. They won't be able to see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there is punishment, and that is psychological punishment of regret. Why didn't I do this? It was only 60 years of my life. 30 years of it I was not even conscious and really knowing what I'm doing. And another 20 years of it was of all sicknesses, and I'm just aging. So it was only 5 to 10 years that I kind of went wild. Is this good enough for me to miss out on this? And that regret by itself is punishment by itself. So this is something that is definitely I wanted to share with you, because this is something that you want to discuss with your children, and you want to discuss also with your friends on campus, and you want to discuss when it comes to the system of accountability and punishment and reward. Remember to reference everything back to the Creator, and you would tell people in general, if you think that Allah or Creator is not fair, do you think that we would be alive now because of the things that we really do, and we don't deserve any of the hasanat intention-wise, or that we acted upon it? All the rain that we receive, sun comes out every single day very precisely, it goes down very precisely. We have the rotations of all the seasons. We have the plantations. Food is always available. Earth is stable. All this thunder that comes down does not hit us and damages our properties. Our animals are still alive, and they are not being vanished by a major, disease that we lose out on sustenance around us. And I can go on and on. The health that we have, this heartbeat that I have 24/7 ever since I was born until I die. If it stops for few seconds, then that's it. I am done. All this around us, all this breath that I'm taking in and letting out without me even realizing, all this we don't appreciate Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for, but we look at one aspect that does not comfort us, because we want to be relaxed. I want to miss out, and I don't want anyone to judge me of saying that you're going to be punished for it. And it's not of your business. And then I would miss out on all the khair that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us, and I would interfere in His domain, because accountability system is Allah's domain, Allah's business. It is not my business to judge myself or judge others. All I can say, the action that you're doing is a good action that inshallah you will be rewarded for. The action you're doing is a bad deed you're not going to be rewarded for, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not pleased with it. So please get out of it. That's all I can say. Who's going to go to Jannah? Who's going to go to hellfire? That's not my business. And because it's not my business, I should not determine the existence of Allah and whether He is fair or not of something that is not my business. It's not my business. How do I come to judge something that I have nothing to do with it? Because you agreed with me from the beginning of the argument, and you said it's not your business to judge whether I'm going to go to hellfire or to Jannah. And I agreed. It's not my business. All my business is to show what's right and to show what's wrong, and then Allah who created us will deal with us accordingly on the day of judgment. We both agreed. So we came to an agreement. Now you can't go out of that agreement and tell me, yes, but because of punishment, I don't want to believe in Him. You just can't do that. You just agreed on the fact that accountability is no one's business. And it's the Creator's business, and whoever has authority over you, it doesn't matter whether you worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or you worship the cow or you worship an idol. You have referenced something back out of your control, and that is accountability system. If you reference it to a higher authority, then you leave that higher authority to that higher authority, and you don't have your way of living because you feel something is unfair. So that is something important that I wanted to conclude with, because I don't want you to think like many people have really thought of that intentions by themselves would not matter. But they absolutely matter in good deeds, and they absolutely matter in bad deeds. So any questions, inshallah ta'ala, before we conclude? So let's, yes, brother.
I have a comment or a questions about going back to the system of accountability Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set up, and that is His domain. That goes back to the concept of Allah being omnipotent, the Creator, and basically He is the one who's going to decide whether we had the right intention or not. We may think we know that or not, but that's really between us and Allah, and then Allah is going to make that judgment call on that day. And as you said, it goes back to this concept of omnipotence, that Allah set the rules, and you, as soon as you said, I believe in Allah as a Muslim, you have recognized that and you sort of need to move on. It's a very difficult concept for me, what you are trying to explain, and I can see why it can be complicated. But I want to start with the question on the last one. Allah writes it down as one evil deed, and the word one. Because are not evil deeds like good deeds, don't they have degrees? So, for example, if I do, I don't know how else to say this, if I do a very bad evil deed, do I still only get one evil deed written down, or what is being written down?
Okay, that's a good question. So now we're talking about here, it's being written one. So if someone kills someone, that's a bad deed. If someone kills a cat, that's a bad deed. But killing a human is not like killing a cat. So are they equal? This guy would get just one bad deed and this guy would get one bad deed? No, the answer, of course not. And how do we know this? From other ahadith. From, as I said, there are other ahadith that the scholars have brought into blend and within to talk about the explanation of how does this get measured. And what also other ahadith have also explained about the duration of the bad deed. So, example of this, someone committed something haram. Once they did not repent, fear of Allah, but they did not like the act of that haram. They stopped. And they got bad deeds for it, but then it stopped because they stopped. Someone did the bad deed, exactly the same bad deed, but they didn't stop, they continued. So that sayyah would continue to incur and happens and get higher and higher and higher because of the duration. So that's also another concept, whether the bad deed got stopped or whether it continued. So definitely there are definite levels and measures. Yes, Fadl.
I had a question about the part where it says so would that depend on the deed that you're doing, depending on how small or how big you get 10 or maybe 7?
Excellent. So same concept. If it's a good deed, a small good deed, that you picked up something harmful from the path of people and you threw it in the trash. Something simple, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala values it. So you're going to get the same system of 1 multiplied by 10, multiplied by 700, and maybe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would stop at 700 because it's small. You actually helped someone out who was drowning or needed food or needed shelter, needed guidance, whatever it is, and you saved someone's life in all aspects. That's not like picking up a trash and putting it in the trash, but still Allah will give you the same system. 1 multiplies by 10, multiplies by 700, but then because of its precious value, Allah will put you into this category. Then it gets multiplied by many, many folds that no one knows. And that references back about how valuable the good deed was. Inshallah. Yes?
So before you said that, if someone wants to perform a bad deed but doesn't perform it because he fears Allah, it'll count as a complete deed. So I'm a bit confused because let's say there was a Muslim who was like struggling with alcoholism, he was pushed out to the bar, and then because he feared Allah at that moment, he turned away and just hung out instead of going to the bar. Is that the same like that like would be that person again? Is it the same as if someone say he doesn't struggle with alcohol and someone offered him a drink and then that Muslim said no? Is it the same or is it different?
I see your point. So definitely it's different because of the struggle. How do we know it? Because of other ahadith. Prophet ﷺ says, Al-ajru, the reward system, again, same thing, accountability, reward system, Al-ajru ala قدر المشقة, that the reward is being rewarded according to the hardship of how difficult a person would go through. So the guy who is alcoholic and really have major urge to drink because it really affects his system and actually refrains from it, even if it's for a short while, and refrains from it momentarily or for a few weeks, few months, out of fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, would get rewarded way more than a person who doesn't struggle through it at all. And I was just, in the heat of the moment, was offered a drink. I was about to get weak and drink it, but then I remembered Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I said, no, I'm not going to mess up here. No thanks. And you reject it. It's not, of course, the same reward. Yes?
So you were mentioning the argument that some of the scholars make that like the punishment is eternal, like metaphorically. So like, what's the basis for that? Because like I feel like people like munafiqs, the people who like openly like condemn Allah, do like horrible things. Like, if it's only metaphorical, then like where would they go per se? Because like I thought like the idea was like they would be dependent forever. So like if that's not the case, then like obviously they're not going to Jannah. So like do they disappear? Or, like,
Yeah, that's what I said. I don't know, and they don't know either. And that's why it's a very it's an opinion of very minority of the scholars, because they said in order for me to say it's metaphoric or it's not physically eternal, I'm going to have to answer more questions. Where are they going to go? They publicly went against Allah, and they had many. Not only that, Allah clearly says in the Quran, they would ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and beg Him on the Day of Judgment that if you would to allow us one more chance, send us back to earth, and we're going to do good. And Allah, who created them, knows what they're going to do, and He actually explicitly says in the Quran, وَلَوْ رُدُّوا, that's metaphoric, وَلَوْ رُدُّوا لَعَادُوا لِمَا نُهُوا عَنْهُ. If I were to actually physically send them back on earth, they're gonna straighten up for a few months, few years, then when they get relaxed, see money again, fame, dunya, positions, go back to what they used to do. Because of this, Allah said, never again, you're not going back. Because enough of what you have done and accomplished, and if I send you back, you're gonna mess up again. And now I know I just put you on earth for you not to tell me once, that's not fair. You just created us. This group go to hellfire, this group go to Jannah. That's not fair. That's why I left you on earth. But now you don't argue with me again to say, no, I'm sure if I go back, I'm not going to mess up again. Who are you talking to? You're talking to Allah, who created you, and He's telling you, no, you're going to mess up again. So there's no room of argument. So that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, you're not going to go back. That's why the argument is there, but the vast majority of the scholars say that it's eternal and it's physical eternal, and because of the intention of no matter how long they would stay on earth, they would go against Allah. That's why they deserve to stay there forever. And of course, that's our belief as Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. I just wanted you to think it is not my domain at the end. Whether it's physical or not, that's not my business. So I'm not going to base my belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on something that I have nothing to do with. I have nothing to do with it. So this is nothing for the atheist to come to convince me. Because of this, don't believe in Allah. It's not fair. That's what I just wanted to get you through, inshallah. Okay, inshallah, any other questions? Okay, inshallah, I'll let you go. Inshallah, next week, bi'idhnillah, we will start with 38 and then go to 39 and part of 40. Jazakumullah khair.
Wa alaikum salam.